Hi, it's Nicole McWork with this week's Scrap It Weekly, and this week I am going to share a two-page layout that I created for my Christmas cards from Friends and Family album. I'm going to show you my album first and then we'll get started. If you've followed me for any time at all, you probably have noticed or seen pages that I have created for this album, and this is my Christmas Cards from Friends and Family album, and this is volume 1 that went through 2010, and it's pretty full. I still need to put something here in the window and on the spine in this book plate to show or say what years this contains inside. But this is probably one of my personal favorite albums and my family's as well. And the reason is because it contains all those Christmas card photos that you get every year in one place. And it's really fun to look through it and see how people's families have grown and changed over the years. So what I did here, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, is I created this title page for my album. And I'm just going to quickly kind of go through here so you can see it, but it's reached that time where I want to start scrapbooking my 2011 Christmas card photos. So this is just my title page, which has lots of little fun embellishments and pieces on it. And then my album starts with 1998. Now, this is not the year that my husband and I got married or anything like that. I either did not keep or didn't get very many Christmas card photos this year. This just happens to be when I started collecting them, and so I started at that point. It's never too late to start. And you can see I only got a few photos. There's a lot of wide open space on here, and I just kind of put everybody's name on little circles. I had typed it out and printed it and punched them out in circles. So there's this, and then 1999, a few more photos. This is 2000, which has even more photos. You can see that I'm starting to get more and more photos. Our friends and family are starting to have more kids, I think, is probably what happened. This is one of my favorite photos we ever got from some friends, their little boy. She took that photo. It was really cute. So there's that. And then by the time, this is 2001, and by 2002, there's a ton of photos. And some of them I left at 4x6 because I just didn't want to crop them down. But I have no trouble just cropping them down and making them fit. Some of them, depending on the page design, I leave a little bit bigger, and I don't want to lose anybody in the photos. So there's that. I think these are more from, or these are, that was 2002, 2003. I put some in a pocket here on the left side. Here are more from 2003. So now I have gone to two-page layouts. 2004, which there's one. Here's 2005. More from 2005. 2005 had a lot of photos. 2006. More from 2006. And from here on out, there's two-page spreads. So 2007, and more from the 2007, 2008, my 2009, or 2010, 2008. Then I have an empty space here that I need to do something with. This is one of my pages that I shared on 2Ps last year in my video series, where I created a pocket page for those homemade cards and things that I didn't want to cut down. So that's kind of, when I have an empty space like that, that's my plan. I'm probably missing one here. I'm almost certain I am. I have one I need to finish for this. So then I have 2009, and more 2009, and 2010. So I did flip through this pretty quickly. But I have all of these listed on my blog, and I will have them all linked so you can look at the layouts in detail. But I just kind of wanted to flip through it and show you how fun it looks to go through it every year. Not all my pages coordinate. Even my pages done in the same year, they don't always coordinate. I just do kind of whatever feels fun for that particular spread. And it doesn't bother me that they're not all matchy-matchy. So I am going to do one of my 2-page spreads for 2011 today. And I kind of created this little sketch. I thought it would be cute to kind of have my photos gradually, like have a few go from one corner to the other. So it might not look exactly like this when it's done, but that was kind of my initial thought. So it'll kind of look like that. It's just a way to include a lot of photos on my layout. This is a very layout heavy, or photo heavy layout rather, and with less embellishment. So this is my stack of Christmas card photos, and I'll just kind of go through them, not right now, but I'll go through and pick out the ones that'll kind of fit this design, and then all the rest will go on another layout. This particular photo, it was a birth announcement. It came with their holiday card too. I don't know where it is right now, but it's of my cousin's newest little boy, and really this photo kind of gave me the idea for the color, or the colors I wanted to use on my layout. And I want it to all be kind of whites and grays. I thought that would be kind of different and fun. So I have this sparkly paper from Doodlebug. It's old, but I think, and you can see I've used pieces of it here and there, but I thought it would be fun to maybe die cut some embellishments from this, and I'll show you what dies I was thinking of using here in a minute. I also have this paper from the Crate Paper Paper Heart collection, and it is a really subtle gray and white chevron. I really like this one. On the other side's a more floral pink and reds print. Then from October Afternoon, this is from their Farmhouse collection, and you can see it striped with lots of blues on the back. I considered briefly using some blues with my gray, and maybe I'll change my mind, but I think I'm going to try to stick with grays and whites. So really pretty kind of doily design here on that side. Then this is just a scrap from the Farmhouse collection. Yellow flowers are on the back. Just a gray plaid. Then from the Crate Paper Peppermint collection, their Christmas collection, there's this really nice kind of creamy white and very subtle tannish gray color. And I just really like that. On the back is some red peppermints. And then I also, this isn't really gray, but it's not a deep black either. This is from the Crate Paper Random collection, and you can see it's a really nice red houndstooth, red and pink houndstooth on one side. On the other side is a teeny tiny chevron, and I thought that might be fun to incorporate on my page as well. Then I have lots of white American Crafts cardstock. So here are the papers all together that I'm going to use. I just think they look really pretty. I'll use this not very much of this, so let's put it back here a little bit so it's more subtle. Lots of whites and grays. Then for my embellishments, I pulled out a couple of stamp sets from Paper Tray Ink. I think the wintertime animals and sleigh and things in this is In the Meadow, are really fun, and I thought they would be cute, maybe die cut from the glitter paper, or even stamped maybe in white on gray cardstock and die cut out. I haven't really decided yet, so I pulled out the coordinating dies and the stamp set. And then there's some fun phrases on this stamp set called Love Lives Here Holiday, and just something like that would be a nice subtitle for my page. I was thinking, trying to think which one I liked. I think the Merry Christmas from Our Home to Yours up here at the top, I thought would either be cute stamped on a label sticker or just used as the subtitle on the page. So I have those stamps. I've also pulled out some chipboard stickers from American Crafts. And I have the Elf, which is a gray with a teeny tiny white polka dot. And then the Macaw, which is a white with a glitter. So I'm going to probably use some of those for maybe my year or title. I did pull out the Farmhouse Miscellany pieces. This tag here is has a nice gray border and coordinates with some of the papers, and I thought it might be a good place to add some information if I needed to. There's a couple of cute gray buttons in here too. Then the last few things I pulled out, because I'm not really going to be using a bunch of embellishment. I did pull out some ribbon from Paper Tray Ink, and this is the color is Soft Stone, and it's just it's kind of a little bit of between, I'd say, an off-white and really light gray, but I really like how it looks with the papers and things, kind of in the same color family. And then I've pulled out some metal brads. I'm thinking some of these from Stampin' Up! Would look nice, kind of vintagey looking. Not really that one, I guess. I'm trying to think which one. I really liked this one. I thought this one would look nice. So things like that. I don't really know if I'll use all of those. And I also pulled out some buttons, and I picked like whites and off-white. There's some gray down there. Also some gray and black in here, clear. So just see if we'll incorporate some of those into the page. So let's go ahead and get started. For the sake of time, I am going to speed through this. All I did was I cropped down my photos, kind of so that I made sure that they fit a 12 or a 24 by 12 format. I did fill in with a little strip there at the bottom. You can see where maybe my photos were about 3/4 of an inch, maybe, no, probably more like a 1/2 inch. Didn't cover 1/2 inch of the page. So then I just cut strips of paper the same width as my photos. So I think they go for about 2 inches there on the bottom to 3.5 inches tall to 2.25 by 2. I can't really remember exactly how I cut those down. And then I ended up not liking one of those papers, or a couple of them. They were just too gray, so I switched them out. So that's all I did, was trim everything down to size. And I will make sure and put the correct photo measurements in case you are interested on my blog post. Now all I'm doing is cutting some circles out with my Colozzle. Because this is such a photo heavy layout and it has a lot of paper strips and a lot of photos, I like circles because they tend to help break up all of those straight lines. So I need somewhere to put my title. I could put it across one of those paper strips and it would look really cute, but this just kind of helps break up the straight edges and the real linear lines of this page. So I'm just using some of the same papers that I used for my background to cut out some circles. Plus I incorporated some craft paper from Basil as well. And I'm going to be using craft for my journaling, so that'll tie it all together really nicely. Then I'll just kind of place those up there at the top of my page. Then I have this cute sticker from Lily Bee that I'm going to adhere to down here, kind of tuck it under one of the paper strips. I do end up moving that down just a little bit later, just simply because the page design needs me to. Now I've printed out my journaling, which for this page, all that it is the people's names. That way, so I always remember. This page doesn't require a whole lot more journaling. That's plenty. This is simply a record of who I got Christmas card photos from that year. So I've printed them out, and I did make sure that I kind of measured them as I typed them in my word processing program, just to make sure that I had left enough room on my page. So as I'm adhering them, I'm being really careful that I'm not cutting through anybody's name. And I left my strips the full 12 inches on purpose. That way it gave me a little bit of room to play with them and tuck them underneath photos and things like that. So each line, or each strip I should say, is for that particular strip of photos. And I'm just, we'll trim them off once I've got them measured and they're where they need to be. And then I'm going to lay them on that particular strip and tuck the ends underneath photos, and I'll trim off any ends and stuff later. So I'm going to speed through the rest of this. So I'm just going to adhere my circles now that I've got those strips. Trim off a little bit of extra I've got there. And you want to do the photos and the paper strips first. That way it gives you a nice guideline for where you can put your journaling. I'd kind of planned this, you could see in my sketch earlier. And here's where I'm going to move that sticker to kind of cover the end of that journaling strip. Now these are some thickers from American Crafts, and they're glittery. And I love that because I think it really looks nice with the theme of the page. It kind of gives a little bit of sparkle, especially since I'm not using really colorful reds and greens. I have started incorporating a little bit of red. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but in the beginning of the video when I share all the product and stuff and what I think I'm going to do, this is one of those pages that kind of deviated from my original plan. The page design stayed the same, but the products that I used and the stamps I used and things like that kind of altered and evolved as I worked on the page, and that's okay. If you don't like what you're doing, you don't have to stick to it just because that was your original plan. You know, if you have something else you want to use, go for it. It's all good, I guess I should say. So just do whatever makes you happy. So I'm really liking the red and cream color scheme. I should have known this. If you followed my December daily or any of my Christmas projects in December, I was really drawn to those this year, and so it shouldn't surprise me that that's the direction I went with this page. I must still like it. I am going to die cut some poinsettias using the dies here from Paper Tray Ink. And I have to admit, when you look at these dies, they are not much to look at. And I don't think they're like the prettiest flowers. When you just lay them out there, they don't look that great. Maybe it's just me. But I did get them because I saw the projects that the design team had used with them, and I thought, oh my gosh, I just love them. And the projects look so good. Well, then I die cut some of my flowers and I was like, ugh. And so I went back and looked at some of the projects that I'd kind of bookmarked, and Dawn McVeigh layered her one of her flowers on a card, and she used tons of layers, and I can't believe what a difference that makes with the poinsettia. So I'm just sharing some of my embellishments. My video camera had died, so I added some stickers and things while it died, and then I'll go ahead and finish showing you the flower construction here in a little bit. I'm also adding a sticker and finishing off with a few brads and things. But back to the poinsettia. So if you use tons of layers with this flower, all of a sudden you look at it and go, yes, that is what the poinsettia should look like. So sometimes it's one of those products that I think is misleading when you look at it. When I got it, I was like, you know, it's fine. But then now that I've used it, I love it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and die cut the rest of my elements here, and then I'll show you how I put together that flower and a couple others on the page. I am just die cutting some leaves. This is the coordinating leaf die for the poinsettia stamp set. And I'm just die cutting these out of some Nina Smooth White cardstock. This is my absolute favorite cardstock for stamping. It gives you perfect impressions every single time. I'm going to die cut a few more flowers from this Doodlebug glitter paper. This is an old Doodlebug glitter paper that I've had forever. I love it, and I'm trying to get every last little bit out of it because I don't have any more. So I'm going to do that. And I'm also die cutting some of these out of vellum. Vellum is one of my favorite mediums to use when die cutting flowers because I really think it adds a nice layered look without a ton of bulk. And where it's kind of, you know, you can see through it and stuff. I just really love the look. So then I'm die cutting some flowers from the Nina Smooth White cardstock now, because I have a couple of die cut flowers on my layout, and then I'm going to also stamp one. So I'll show you how I'm doing that. Just have to get enough flowers because the big flowers each have 6 layers and the small one has 4. And then they end with a button in the center. So I guess really it's about 5 or 7 layers. So to put this together, I really want it to stay put on my page, and with this glitter paper, there's not really a better way than actually sewing it on or attaching it with a brad or something like that. I don't want this moving anywhere, and where adhesive does not grab that glitter paper very well, I would really recommend you use either a brad or sew on a button or do a little machine stitching or something like that. So I am just using some adhesive here. It's not real sticky adhesive, so I'll be able to sew through it with my sewing needle, but I don't want these layers to shift while I'm poking my holes. So I am just putting a little adhesive there so that they stay put where I want them. And then I'm going, you can see it already isn't sticking very good. I tried to use my needle and realized that was kind of silly because I can't poke through that many layers. So I'm using my Tim Holtz piercing tool to make a couple of little holes there. And then I can sew my button to the center. And that will secure the entire flower, and I won't have to worry about that coming off. So I'm just sewing it on, and then I'll tie it off on the back of the page. And you can see I machine stitched those circles on too. Forgot to mention that earlier. And then I like to just kind of go through and pull those layers up a little bit so they don't lay quite so flat. Now I originally was going to stick only with that cream and red theme on my page, and I realized I really like the look of the green leaves. I like the way the green adds to my page as well. So I went ahead and stamped some of the coordinating leaves for this stamp set and tucked them under my flower, and I really, really like how that turned out. So then I'm going to go ahead and quickly, I'm using my tiny attacher to secure some of those journaling strips, plus it adds a nice decorative element. I got sidetracked. I was working on the flowers, and you can see how my thought process works, I guess. I got sidetracked and decided to go ahead and use my tiny attacher there. Now I'm going to stamp the rest of my elements, since I didn't show that when the previous leaves on the previous flower there. I'm just using some Kiwi Kiss ink from Stampin' Up, stamping all of my leaves here. Very easy. I just love how that looks, and the nice little white edge around the flowers kind of just helps make them pop. Now I'm figuring out the right way that my flower goes. Make sure I get it lined up right before I go to stamp it, or ink it up and stamp it. And I am using the Real Red ink from Stampin' Up. This is my very favorite red ink. Make sure I get a nice smooth impression there. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat this, and I apologize that the video is so blurry there. I'm going to repeat this for all the rest of the flowers. I'm going to go ahead and speed through it because it's just the same thing, only with the different sized flowers. So I'm just finishing stamping these, and I really think individually they don't look as impressive, but once you layer them all together, they are gorgeous. I love them. They turn out so nice. So I'm just going to tuck the other two down here in the bottom right corner of the layout. Kind of helps draw your eye across the page. You can see how nice they look there, all finished and sewn to the design. For more information on this layout, please visit my blog at www.nicholemcgork.typepad.com, and please subscribe for more weekly photos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.